The envelope hit the marble floor of the Grand Hyatt's ballroom with a whisper-soft thud, but it might as well have been a grenade. Jordan's eyes locked onto it, his face draining of color under the crystal chandeliers, as the string quartet faltered into silence mid-vivace. In that frozen heartbeat, Alex watched from the shadows of the balcony, the single $100 bill he'd tucked inside the proof of everything. The texts, the hotel receipts, the grainy photos, curling like a serpent's tongue at the edge of his soul. San Francisco's fog clung to the windows like a reluctant lover, muting the city lights into a hazy glow that seeped into the opulent ballroom. It was the kind of wedding that screamed old money and new dreams. White orchids cascading from arched trellises, tables draped in ivory silk, and a guest list packed with tech moguls, venture capitalists, and the sort of people who summered in Napa and wintered in Aspen. Jordan Hale, the groom, stood at the altar in a bespoke Tom Ford tuxedo. His broad shoulders squared with the easy confidence of a man who'd just closed a 9-figure deal at 28. His fiancée, Liam, fidgeted beside him, all lean elegance in a slim-cut suit, his smile a touch too bright, like he was holding back a storm. Alex Rivera had made it all possible. From the architect who flew in from Milan to design the floral installations to the sommelier curating pairings from Jordan's favorite Sonoma vineyards. Every detail bore the invisible stamp of Alex's black Amex. He'd footed the bill, $200,000 and change, without a murmur, because that's what you did for the man who'd been your anchor since freshman year at Stanford. Jordan, with his crooked grin and those hazel eyes that could unravel you with a glance, had been Alex's first everything. First roommate, first heartbreak, first secret kept in the dead of night. They danced around it for years, that electric pull, burying it under bro code and boardroom banter. But tonight, as vows were exchanged and champagne corks popped, Alex nursed a bourbon neat in the corner, his heart a lead weight in his chest. It hadn't started this way. 6 months ago, over late-night tacos at a hole-in-the-wall in the Mission District, Jordan had confessed the engagement. Liam's the one, man. Steady. Real. His voice had cracked just a fraction, and Alex had forced a laugh, clapping him on the back hard enough to mask the tremor in his own hand. Steady. As if Alex hadn't been the one who'd pulled Jordan through the wreckage of his parents' divorce, who'd mapped out escape routes from the suffocating expectations of a Texas oil dynasty that still whispered, "Straighten up," in every holiday card. Liam was the safe bet, a junior partner at a boutique law firm, with a trust fund and a family that brunched at the Fairmont. Alex, he was the wild card, the queer kid from East LA who'd clawed his way to VP at a fintech unicorn, building walls of code and charisma to hide the ache of loving someone who loved him back in fragments. The reception swirled into motion around them, laughter bubbling like the Veuve Cliquot flowing freely. Toasts rang out, Jordan's college buddy recounting that infamous road trip to Big Sur, where they'd skinny-dipped in the Pacific under a meteor shower. Liam's sister gushing about how Jordan had proposed on the Golden Gate Bridge at dawn, fog rolling in like a bridal veil. Alex lingered on the periphery, nodding at compliments on the stunning setup, his smile a practiced blade. He caught Jordan's eye across the room, and for a split second, the air thickened, charged with the ghost of hands brushing in a darkened dorm room, of whispered confessions drowned out by the hum of campus parties. But ghosts have sharp teeth. Earlier that week, Alex had stumbled into the truth like a drunk into traffic. A forgotten phone on the charger in Jordan's loft, Liam's actually, buzzing with a notification that lit up the screen like a flare. Alex hadn't meant to look. He'd been dropping off the final vendor payments, the place empty save for the echo of Jordan's laughter from a voice memo. Curiosity, that old traitor, won out. The messages weren't from Liam. They were from her, Elena, Jordan's ex from law school, the one who'd ghosted him after a summer in Barcelona. Miss you more than I should. That night in the Napa cabin. We can't pretend. Attached. A photo, time-stamped 2 weeks ago, Jordan's arms slung possessively around her waist, the vineyard rose blurring into intimacy. Betrayal isn't a single stab. It's a slow bleed. Alex had sat there, phone burning in his hand, replaying every late night, just friends drink, every hug that lingered too long. Jordan marrying Liam for the optics, the stability, while chasing echoes of a straight passing past. Or worse, using the wedding as a shield, a way to bury the part of himself that had once reached for Alex in the dark. The pieces clicked. The distracted glances during fittings, the cancelled plans masked as wedding stress. Alex had paid for the fairy tale, only to find it built on sand. Now, as the cake was wheeled out, 5 tiers of lemon bergamot perfection, dusted with edible gold, Alex slipped the envelope into his pocket. It was thin, unassuming, printouts folded crisp, the bill a mocking flourish. He debated burning it all in the fireplace of his No Valley brownstone, letting the fog swallow the ashes. But fire cleanses, paper accuses. He waited until the first dance, Jordan and Liam swaying to At Last under a canopy of fairy lights, the room a collective sigh of romance. Then, with the grace of a man who'd once coded algorithms to predict market crashes, Alex crossed the floor. "Congrats, you too," he said, voice steady as the bay's tide. He pressed the envelope into Jordan's hand during the obligatory bro hug, murmuring low enough for only him to hear, "One last gift. Open it when you're ready to stop lying. To him, to me, to yourself." Jordan's grip tightened, a flicker of panic in those hazel depths. But Alex pulled away, melting into the crowd before the questions could form. The night fractured from there. Alex retreated to the balcony, the chill wind off the bay whipping his tie like a flag of surrender. Below, the city pulsed, Alcatraz a shadowed sentinel, the bridges strung with lights like veins of gold. He'd built an empire here, from a cramped apartment in the Tenderloin to a corner office overlooking the Transamerica Pyramid. But none of it filled the hollow where Jordan fit. Love, he'd learned young, wasn't a line of code you could debug. It was a virus rewriting you from the inside out. Inside, the envelope lay unopened on a side table, Jordan stealing glances at it between dances and photos. Liam noticed, of course, his brow furrowing, hand squeezing Jordan's elbow a fraction too tight. "Everything okay?" The words were light, but the undercurrent ran deep, laced with the unspoken fears of a man who'd fought his own battles coming out in a conservative firm. Jordan nodded, too quick, and swept him into another twirl. But the rhythm was off, the steps mechanical. Alex watched it all, a spectator to his own demolition. Part of him wanted to storm back in, to shatter the illusion with truths hurled like confetti. But humanism, that quiet American creed of second chances and bootstraps, held him back. Jordan wasn't a villain. He was a man adrift, torn between the life scripted for him and the one his heart kept circling back to. Alex had seen it in the way Jordan's laugh softened around him, in the late-night texts that veered too close to confession. This wasn't just betrayal. It was a plea, wrapped in denial. As midnight crept in, the party thinning to diehards and designated drivers, Alex slipped away. His Tesla hummed to life in the valet line, the dashboard glowing like a confessional. He drove the winding roads of Twin Peaks, the city sprawling beneath him in a tapestry of neon and shadow. Up here, with the wind howling through the open window, he let the tears come. Not hot and furious, but cool, like the fog. He'd paid for the wedding, yes, but the real cost was the pieces of himself he'd invested, hoping for a return that never came. Back at the hotel, Jordan finally cracked the envelope open in the bridal suite, the door locked against the world. The bill fluttered out first, crisp and green, $100 mocking the $200,000 it had taken to stage the day. Then the proof spilled across the duvet. Elena's messages, the photo, timestamps glaring like indictments. Liam, towel drying his hair from the shower, paused mid-step. "What's that?" Jordan's world tilted. He looked up, the weight of 1,000 unspoken words crashing down. I fucked up. Royally." The confession hung there, raw and ragged, as the first cracks spiderwebbed through the foundation they'd so carefully laid. Dawn broke over the bay like a hesitant apology, painting the skyline in strokes of rose and amber. Jordan hadn't slept. The suite's king bed, strewn with rose petals now wilted and accusatory, bore witness to a night of fractured silences and half-formed explanations. Liam sat across from him at the room service cart, nursing black coffee, his eyes, storm gray and unyielding, fixed on the man he'd promised forever to just 12 hours prior. "Tell me everything?" Liam said. Not a demand but a detonation. His voice steady in the way only someone who'd survived conversion therapy whispers could be. Jordan's hands trembled as he recounted it. The reconnection with Elena at an alumni mixer in Austin. The wine-fueled slip in Napa. The guilt that had gnawed at him like termites in the walls of their life. "It wasn't about you," he insisted, the lie tasting like ash. "It was. Unfinished business. Old ghosts." Liam's laugh was bitter, a sound that echoed off the gilded mirrors. "Ghosts don't send FedEx receipts, Jordan. And they sure as hell don't get bankrolled by your best friend." The envelope's contents had included more than just Elena's affair. Alex had layered in the subtle cruelties. The deleted texts from Jordan to Alex himself, promises of talking soon that dissolved into radio silence, the Venmo charges for discreet dinners that weren't with Liam. It was a mosaic of betrayals, each shard reflecting Jordan's divided heart. Across town, in the sun-drenched kitchen of his Victorian row house, Alex stared into his own mug of yerba buena roast, the steam curling like unanswered questions. His phone buzzed on the quartz countertop. A text from his sister Rosa, fresh off a red-eye from LAX. "Heard about the wedding. You okay, Mijo? Need me to fly back up?" Alex typed back a thumbs-up emoji, the coward's shield, then deleted the thread with Jordan that spanned a decade. The loft had felt too empty last night. He'd crashed on the couch, the city's hum his only lullaby. Work called, as it always did, a panacea for the lovesick. By 9, Alex was ensconced in the glass-walled conference room of Apex Ventures, pitching a seed round for a queer-owned app revolutionizing mental health resources for LGBTQ+ youth. His slides were flawless, anecdotes laced with that signature Rivera charm. Stories of kids like he'd been, navigating Bible Belt barbs and boardroom biases. The investors leaned in, nodding, checks metaphorically signed. But midway through, his mind snagged on a memory. Jordan, post-pitch at their first big win, pulling him into a bear hug that blurred the line between platonic and profane. "Couldn't have done it without you, partner." Partner. The word had always carried double edges. Lunch was a forced march to Tartine, the line snaking down Guerrero Street under a sky-threatening rain. Alex ordered a country loaf and a quart d'eau, settling at an outdoor table where the drizzle pattered like Morse code. His phone lit up again. "Jordan. We need to talk. Please." The words blurred under the weight of what-ifs. Alex's thumb hovered, then typed, "Ballpark at dusk. The one by the pier. Neutral ground. Where they'd once skipped stones and shared dreams of empires built on more than money." Meanwhile, Liam packed his Louis Vuitton weekender with the precision of a man girding for war. "I'm not ending this over one mistake," he'd said at dawn, voice cracking like thin ice. "But trust? That's the vow we broke first." Jordan nodded, mute, the ring on his finger feeling like a manacle. He'd called off the honeymoon. Maui flights canceled. The overwater bungalow refunded via Alex's card. Of course. Irony, that sharp American flavor, bit deep. The afternoon dragged Jordan through meetings at Hale Dynamics, the family oil firm's San Francisco outpost, where suits thicker than the fog droned about Q4 projections. He was the golden boy, the queer heir who'd come out at 22 and somehow kept the boardroom's approval, largely because his queerness came wrapped in wedding bands and white picket fences. Liam fit the narrative. Stable, photogenic, the kind of partner who made headlines in Out magazine's Power Couples spread. Alex, he was the wild card, the one who'd whisper in bored ears about diversification into green tech, saving the company from fossil fuel irrelevance. But Alex didn't fit the script. He was passion without pretense, love without the leash. By 5, the ballpark's emerald diamond gleamed under sodium lamps, the Giants stadium a hulking silhouette against the ebbing tide. Alex arrived first, hands shoved in the pockets of his wool peacoat, the wind off McCovey Cove tugging at his dark curls. He paced the warning track, memories assaulting him. Pickup games after classes, Jordan's curveball that always hooked left, just like his heart. When Jordan appeared, jacketless, shirt untucked, eyes shadowed, Alex's resolve cracked like dry earth. You didn't have to do it that way, Jordan started, voice rough as the gravel underfoot. The envelope. At our wedding. Jesus. Alex. Alex's laugh was hollow, echoing off the empty bleachers. Our? Last I checked, I wasn't the one saying, I do to someone else. He pulled a pack of clove cigarettes from his pocket. A vice resurrected for nights like this, and lit one, the flame dancing in the dusk. I paid for the dream you sold him. The least I could do was send the invoice for the nightmare. Jordan stepped closer, the scent of his cologne, sandalwood and sea salt, hitting Alex like a rogue wave. It wasn't a nightmare. Elena was a lapse, a stupid, drunk lapse. Liam knows that. Does he? Alex exhaled smoke, watching it dissipate into the salt air. Or does he know about the nights you crawled into my bed after her calls? The just-to-talk sessions that ended with your mouth on mine? The words hung heavy, truths long buried surfacing like driftwood. Jordan flinched but didn't deny it. I was scared. Of us. My family's breathing down my neck about legacy, heirs, the whole hetero hangover bullshit they pretend they've outgrown. Liam. He's safe harbor. You're the storm that could sink me. The admission landed like a fastball to the chest. Alex stubbed out the cigarette, grinding it under his heel. Safe harbor? That's what you call building a life on lies? I funded your harbor, Jordan. Every string light, every vow. Because I thought, I thought if I gave you the world, you'd see I was in it. Silence stretched, taut as the outfield fence. Jordan reached out, fingers brushing Alex's jaw, a touch that sparked like live wire. I see you. Always have. That's the problem. They kissed then, desperate and devouring, the ballpark their confessional. Salt and smoke and saltwater tears, hands fisting in fabric as if to anchor against the pull of inevitability. It wasn't resolution. It was reckoning. A momentary eclipse of the betrayals that bound them. But eclipses end. As they broke apart, gasping, Jordan's phone shattered the spell. Liam's name flashing, insistent. I have to go, Jordan murmured, forehead pressed to Alex's. Fix this. For real this time. Alex nodded, stepping back into the shadows. Fix it. But remember, the bill's due. To all of us. That night, Liam confronted Jordan in their Pack Heights flat, the bay glittering mockingly through floor-to-ceiling windows. Choose, Liam said, voice a blade honed by years of advocacy work. Him or me. No more half measures. Jordan's choice hung in the balance, a precipice overlooking the chasm of what-ifs. Across the bridge in Oakland, Alex pored over blueprints for a new venture. A non-profit coding camp for at-risk queer kids, funded from his own pocket this time. No more proxies for love. But as the clock ticked past 2, doubt crept in. Had the envelope been a gift or a grenade? And in the quiet, he wondered if storms ever truly let go of their harbors. The fallout rippled outward like a stone skipped across the bay, each concentric circle dragging secrets to the surface. By midweek, the society pages of SF Chronicle whispered of wedding woes for the Hale nuptials, couched in euphemisms about personal adjustments. Jordan's mother, Vivian, called from Houston, her drawl sharpened to a stiletto. What in God's name have you done, boy? That Rivera boy's always been trouble. Stirring pots he shouldn't. Jordan hung up mid-rant, the receiver trembling in his grip, and drove straight to the Castro, the neighborhood's rainbow flags snapping like accusations in the wind. He found Alex at the cafe, a dive bar squeezed between thrift shops and tattoo parlors, nursing a Stella and sketching algorithms on a napkin. The place hummed with the after-work crowd. Drag queens prepping for evening shows, tech bros debating crypto crashes, a couple in the corner arguing softly over adoption papers. Jordan slid onto the stool beside Alex, ordering a Jameson neat, the ritual as familiar as breathing. I told Liam everything, Jordan said, no preamble. His voice cutting through the jukebox's twang of Katie Lang. The Elena thing. All of it. Alex's pencil stilled, the lines of his code fracturing into chaos. He's processing. Gave me space. But he didn't leave. The words landed like lead shot. Alex signaled for another round, the bartender. A silver fox with a sleeve of ink. Sliding glasses with a knowing wink. Space? Alex echoed, clinking his bottle against Jordan's tumbler. That's code for prove you're worth the wreckage. You gonna? Jordan's gaze dropped to the scarred wood of the bar, tracing knots like maps to nowhere. I don't know. Part of me wants to burn it all down. Call off the marriage, chase the storm. He lifted his eyes, hazel depth stormy. But Liam, he's good, Alex. Solid. He fought for me when I was too chicken shit to fight for myself. Alex's laugh was a rasp, edged with the bourbon he'd switched to. And me? What am I? The plot twist. The guy who pays the piper and gets ghosted. He leaned in, voice dropping to a conspiratorial hush. I wired the funds for your vows, Jordan. Watched you promise forever to a man while your fingers itched for mine. That's not a plot twist. That's a goddamn tragedy. The bar's neon buzzed overhead, casting their faces in fractured red and blue. Jordan's hand found Alex's under the counter, a clandestine anchor. It's not that simple. My world, hail dynamics, the expectations, it's a machine that chews up outliers. You know that. Coming out was one thing. Loving you? That'd be mutiny. Mutiny? Alex repeated, tasting the word like bile. Funny how America's all about liberty until it clips your wings. He pulled his hand away, the loss of fresh brews. Born to migrant parents who'd scrubbed floors in Echo Park to fund his dreams, Alex had bootstrapped his way to Silicon Valley's inner sanctum, only to find the glass ceilings were rainbows too. He'd mentored queer startups, donated to GLSEN galas, but personal happiness? That was the beta version, always crashing. They talked until last call, the conversation meandering like the Embarcadero at low tide. Dreams deferred, the ache of chosen family, the hypocrisy of a nation that celebrated Stonewall but side-eyed same-sex rings if they didn't sparkle just right. Jordan confessed the pressure, the board's veiled threats about family values investors, Vivian's passive-aggressive emails forwarding articles on traditional legacies. Alex countered with tales from the trenches. The VC who'd lowballed his pitch because diversity hires need to prove twice over. As they spilled onto the sidewalk, the Castros pulse alive with laughter and bass thumps from nearby clubs, Jordan pulled Alex into an alley shadowed by murals of Harvey Milk. I don't want to lose you, he murmured, lips brushing Alex's temple. Not again. The kiss that followed was slower this time, exploratory, a mapping of familiar terrain grown wild. Alex's back hit cool brick, Jordan's body a warm press against the chill. It was romance stripped bare. No grand gestures, just the quiet urgency of two men stealing time from a world that rationed it. But as hands roamed and breaths mingled, a siren's wail pierced the night, reality's rude interrupt. Liam was waiting when Jordan got home, silhouetted in the doorway of their flat, a glass of scotch in hand. Out celebrating the chaos? No venom, just weariness, the kind etched from too many therapy sessions unpacking generational trauma. Jordan sagged against the jam, the alley's heat still lingering on his skin. Talking. With Alex. Honesty. Raw and unvarnished. The first real vow he'd kept. Liam nodded, gesturing him inside. The living room, with its mid-century modern lines and bay views, felt like a courtroom. They sat on opposing couches, the coffee table a no-man's land littered with wedding favors. Tiny succulent pots now wilted. I love you, Liam started, voice steady. But love isn't blinders. If you choose him, I walk. Clean break. No drama. The ultimatum hung, a guillotine blade. Jordan's mind raced. Liam's quiet strength, the way he'd held Jordan through panic attacks post coming out. Alex's fire, the spark that ignited his best self. Betrayal wasn't just Elena's ghost. It was this fork in the road, where every path scarred. Days blurred into a tense détente. Jordan threw himself into work, sealing a merger with a Norwegian renewable firm. Ironic salvation for the family fossil empire. Alex, meanwhile, greenlit the coding camp, christening it Echo Park Coders, a nod to roots that grounded him. He volunteered evenings at the SF LGBT Center, facilitating groups for young men navigating identity in a post-Obergefell world. Their stories mirrors to his own tangled heart. The climax brewed at the center's annual gala, a black tie affair in the mission's historic theaters. Alex was there as a sponsor, his table prime real estate amid auction paddles and drag performances that brought the house down. Jordan and Liam arrived fashionably late, hands linked, a united front that twisted the knife. But as the MC called for toasts, Jordan broke ranks, microphone in hand, voice cracking over the speakers. "This city's given me everything," he said, eyes scanning the crowd until they locked on Alex. "Freedom to love who I choose. But choice, that's the real fight." The room hushed, sensing the undercurrent. "I almost lost sight of that. Chased safety over soul. Tonight, I recommit, not just to my husband, but to the man who showed me what courage costs." Applause thundered, but Alex slipped out the side door, the alley air a slap of clarity. Jordan's words were olive branches, but branches from a tree rooted in compromise. He walked the blocks to his car, the fog thickening, mirroring the blur in his chest. That night, the real storm hit. Liam, buoyed by the speech, proposed a trial separation. Space to heal, not hide. Jordan agreed, relief warring with regret. He drove to Alex's, pounding on the door until it swung open. Alex disheveled in sweats, eyes red-rimmed. "I chose," Jordan gasped, stepping inside uninvited. "Me. If you'll have the mess I am." Alex's laugh was broken, a sob disguised. "The mess? That's all we've ever been." He cupped Jordan's face, thumbs tracing cheekbones sharp with exhaustion. "But yeah, I'll have it. We'll build something real. No bills, no veils." They collapsed onto the couch, bodies entwining in a tangle of limbs and whispers, the city outside a distant symphony. It wasn't the end. Conflicts loomed, family rifts, legal untanglings, the slow rebuild of trust. But in that moment, under the flicker of a single lamp, it was enough. Romance, American style, gritty, improbable, alive with the promise of dawn. Yet betrayal's echo lingered. As Jordan drifted to sleep, Alex stared at the ceiling, the envelope's ghost whispering doubts. Had he sent proof or just another chain? Weeks folded into months, the San Francisco autumn yielding to a winter of relentless rain that turned the streets into mirrors of smeared neon. Jordan and Liam's separation was amicable on paper, joint statement to friends about growing in different directions. Assets divided with the precision of a prenup never invoked. Liam moved to a sublet in Hayes Valley, throwing himself into pro bono work for trans rights, his Instagram a curated feed of resilience and reinvention. Jordan, unmoored, crashed at Alex's brownstone. Their nights a patchwork of takeout Thai and tentative tenderness. It wasn't seamless. Mornings brought the grind. Jordan fielding calls from Vivian, her Texas twang laced with "I told you so's" about that phase he'd indulged. Marriage is work, son, not whims. Alex, ever the fixer, mediated with data points on queer divorce rates, half the national average, a stat that humanized the heartbreak. But stats didn't staunch the bleed when Jordan woke at 3 a.m., sheets twisted, murmuring Liam's name in his sleep. Alex bore it with the stoicism of a man who'd coded through crashes. He expanded Echo Park coders, securing grants from the Gates Foundation, the camps now dotting campuses from LA to Oakland. Kids with stories like his, foster system flotsam, church reject runaways, lit up under his guidance. Their first Hello World programs a defiant middle finger to the worlds that had written them off. Jordan tagged along to a session in the Excelsior, watching wide-eyed as a 14-year-old non-binary coder debugged a VR sim for Pride parades. "This," Jordan said later, over Mission burritos, "this is what you do, make worlds bend." "And you," Alex teased, salsa dripping from his chin. "What's your bend, Hale?" "Beyond oil rigs and alimony." Jordan's grin was crooked, healing, diversifying. "That Norwegian deal? The solar now. Greenwashing the empire." He paused, fork midway to mouth. "And you, bending toward you." The romance deepened in stolen symmetries. Weekend hikes in Muir Woods, where redwoods whispered secrets older than betrayals. Jazz nights at the Fillmore, bodies swaying to Coltrane's ache. Sex was rediscovery. Slow, sacred, no rush to reclaim what time had eroded. It was the humanism in the humdrum. Grocery runs to Whole Foods where they debate oat milks like philosophers, or curling up for the normal heart marathons, tears sinking like heartbeats. But conflict coiled beneath, a serpent in the garden. Elena resurfaced via email, a congrats on the fresh start, laced with nostalgia bait. Jordan deleted it unread, but the seed of doubt sprouted. Then came the boardroom ambush. Hale Dynamics elders, faces creased like old leather, tabling a succession plan that sidelined Jordan for a cousin. Straight, settled, sans scandals. Stability matters, the chairman intoned, eyes sliding to the Chronicle clipping of the wedding debacle. Jordan stormed out, punching walls in the executive washroom until his knuckles split. He confessed it all to Alex over dim sum in Chinatown, steam rising like unspoken fears. They're right. I'm a liability. Dragged the family name through the rainbow mud. His voice cracked, the golden boy tarnished. What if I drag you down too? Alex reached across the lazy Susan, callous coder's fingers lacing with oil barons. Down? Baby, I've been scraping bottoms since Inglewood. We rise together or not at all. It was the American gospel, refracted through queer lenses. Reinvention as religion, betrayal as baptism. The climax crested in Houston, uninvited. Vivian summoned Jordan for family mediation, a euphemism for intervention. Alex insisted on going, no more solo missions. Booking first class on United, the flight a cocoon of hand-holding and bad rom-coms. The Hale Ranch sprawled like a Texas myth. White-columned mansion amid oil derricks, infinity pool overlooking scrubland that stretched to eternity. Vivian greeted them coolly, pearls clutched like rosaries. Dinner a minefield of small talk and sidelong glares. Post-prime rib, she cornered Jordan in the study, walls lined with oil portraits of stern patriarchs. This phase with Alex has hurt us all. Liam was perfect, discreet, dutiful. End it, Jordan. For the legacy. Her eyes, so like his, brimmed with a mother's fierce love twisted by fear. Jordan's retort was thunder. Legacy? That's code for lies, Mom. I hid for you, for Dad's ghost, for the shares. No more. He pulled Alex in from the veranda, arm around his waist like a shield. This is my choice. If the company can't handle it, let it fracture. Vivian recoiled, then softened, a dam breaking. I just wanted you safe. Tears fell, unpowdered, humanizing the matriarch. Over bourbon in the den, Alex abstaining, ever the designated driver. They forged a fragile truce. Jordan stays CEO, but with oversight. Vivian attends PFLAG meetings, dipping toes into understanding. The flight home was cathartic, clouds parting to reveal the Rockies' jagged spine. You were magnificent, Alex murmured, head on Jordan's shoulder. Texan tornado. Jordan chuckled, kissing his temple. Only 'cause you grounded me. Back in the bay, the denouement unfolded gently. Liam reached out, a coffee at Blue Bottle, no agendas. I'm happy for you, he said, genuine. His new boa barista with tattoos and a poet's soul. Took guts. Wish I'd seen it sooner. Forgiveness, that rarest currency, exchanged hands. Jordan proposed on the Golden Gate at dawn, fog veiling the cables like lace. No ring, yet, but a simple band of folded paper, inscribed with code. If, love, forever. Alex laughed through tears, pulling him close. Nerd. Their wedding was small. City Hall, witnesses Rosa and a coder kid from the camp. Vows exchanged in the rotunda, echoing off marble that had seen suffragettes and civil rights marches. No orchids, no chandeliers. Just them, raw and real. The cities pulsed their soundtrack. Years later, at a Echo Park gala, now a national network, Alex would toast Jordan amid funders and families. He paid for a wedding once, he'd say, winking at the man beside him, silver threading his curls. But the real investment? Proof that betrayal's just the prologue to grace. Jordan, ever the romantic, would squeeze his hand, whispering, "And the bill? Paid in full. With love." In the end, it wasn't happily ever after, no fairy tale gloss. It was humanistic American. Scarred, striving, stitched with second chances. Two men against the odds writing their own code. And in the fog-kissed streets of San Francisco, that was epic enough.